Good evening. I would like to call tonight's meeting to order. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Mayor Searcy.
Here.
Councilmember Landman. Here. Councilmember DeBala.
Present.
Councilmember Schlegel.
Here.
Councilmember Gilbert.
Here.
Councilmember Hanzak.
Here.
Councilmember Westler.
Here.
Good evening. Tonight, we're convening a little early this evening to go into closed session to meet with staff at the city's labor attorney to receive a briefing and legal advice on collective bargaining negotiations with ASME Local 3399 and UFCW Local 400. The meeting will be closed pursuant to Annotated Code of Maryland General Provision Article 3-305B9, which permits a meeting to be closed to discuss matters related to collective bargaining negotiations, and 3-305B7, which permits a meeting to be closed to consult with counsel to receive legal advice. After the closed session, the council will reconvene here in the auditorium for its regular meeting. So with that, would someone like to move for us to convene in closed session?
So moved.
Thank you, Councilmember Gilbert. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilmember Hanzak. All those in favor of moving into closed session, please say aye.
Aye.
Do you have any opposed? And we have no abstentions. All right, thank you all very much. We will be back here for our regular meeting at about 7:30. All right, thank you. Have a good night.
Closed caption test. Closed caption test. Closed caption test. Good. Closed caption test. Closed caption test. Closed caption test. Closed caption test. Testing, testing. 1, 2, 1, 2. Test, test. 1, 2, 1, 2.
Good evening. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. The Tacoma Park City Council apologize for our tardy start. The council began this evening at 6:30, meeting with, in closed session, meeting with staff at the city's labor attorney and the city's labor attorney to receive a briefing and legal advice on collective bargaining negotiations with ASME Local 3399 and UFCW Local 400. As a reminder, the meeting was closed pursuant to Annotated Code of Maryland, General Provisions, Article 3-305B9, which permits a meeting to be closed to discuss matters related to collective bargaining negotiations, and 3-305B7, which permits a meeting to be closed to consult with counsel to receive legal advice. And so we are reconvening this evening. We have already voted to move into session. And so I'm going to start by providing a little bit of a run through in terms of our agenda this evening. The first item that we have is a proclamation recognizing Eritrean Independence Day, which is on May the 24th. And we also will have a presentation this evening, the quarterly financial report, third quarter, January 1st through March the 31st, 2026. And then we will have two work sessions this evening. The first is extension of a contract with Human Circuit, and the second is amendment to the Tacoma Park Code, Chapter 3.04, to remove outdated language related to council compensation. On Monday, May the 25th, is Memorial Day. Just as a reminder, city offices and facilities are closed Sunday and Monday in recognition of the holiday. On Wednesday, May the 27th, the council will meet at its regular time of 7:30. We will start with a matter for the record, Legacy Business Week proclamation. We will have a presentation on the Metropolitan Branch Trail final design. We will have a voting session that evening. The first reading ordinance amended the Tacoma Park Code, Chapter 2.04, to remove outdated language related to council compensation. Single reading ordinance authorizing execution of a contract for repair of flood damage at the Recreation Center. A single reading ordinance approving the contract extension with Human Circuit. On Wednesday, June the 3rd, the City Council will meet at its regular time of 7:30. We will start that evening with two proclamations for the record. The first is a proclamation of Gun Violence Awareness Week, which is June the 5th, 2026. We also have a proclamation of Chesapeake Bay Awareness Week, and that is June 6th through the 14th, 2026. We will also have a voting session, the second reading ordinance amending the Tacoma Park Code, Chapter 2.04, to remove outdated language related to council compensation. And then we will have two work sessions that evening. The first is FY26 Budget Amendment number 4, and the second is the Multifamily Building Improvement Grant awardees. On Wednesday, June the 10th, the council will meet at its regular time of 7:30. We will have that evening two presentations. One is the Community Quality of Life Awards. The second is the Rent Stabilization Study. We will also have two voting sessions that evening. The first is the first reading ordinance approving FY26 Budget Amendment number 4, and the single reading ordinance awarding multifamily building improvement grants. We will also have two work sessions that evening. The first is the National Capital Regional Economic Development, or NED, grant proposals, as well as the Community Connectors work plan discussion. On Sunday, June the 14th through Wednesday, June the 17th, is the Maryland Municipal League Summer Conference in Ocean City. Many of us will be attending that, and therefore Wednesday, June the 17th, the City Council will not meet. And just as a reminder, Friday, June the 19th, is Juneteenth, and city offices and facilities are closed Friday and Saturday in recognition of the Juneteenth holiday. And so with that, I'm going to move to our proclamation this evening. Recognizing Eritrean Independence Day, May 24th, 2026. Whereas Eritrea achieved its independence on May 24th, 1991, following a long and determined struggle. And whereas the year 2026 marks the 35th anniversary of Eritrean independence, a significant milestone honoring the resilience, unity, and sacrifice of the Eritrean people. And whereas Eltrian Independence Day is celebrated annually by Eltrian communities around the world as a time to reflect on their history, culture, and shared identity. And whereas the Eltrian American community is a vibrant and valued part of our city, contributing to our cultural diversity and civic life. And whereas recognizing cultural heritage celebrations, such as Eltrian Independence Day, helps to promote greater understanding, unity, and appreciation among all residents. Now, therefore, I, Talisha Searcy, Mayor of the City of Tacoma Park, do hereby proclaim May 24th, 2026 as Eltrian Independence Day in the City of Tacoma Park and encourage all residents to join in this recognition. So thank you so much. I want to thank our resident that requested for us to make this proclamation, and definitely recognize the many Eltrian residents in our community that are celebrating this holiday. And so we have the proclamation. We would love for you to come up and take a picture.
Every time I stand, everyone does it. All right, since this is my ward 5 resident.
Thank you so much. Excellent. So now we're going to move to general public comments. Do we have any general public comments this evening?
Arthur David Olson, Ward 4, Herbie Hancock Avenue. With fiscal year 2027 budget done, I have some things to say about future budgets, but first, a time-sensitive matter. In 2024, there were 13 total candidates for city offices. Since each candidate was required to file 3 finance reports, 39 total reports were required. Only 38 reports are available on the city's website. Given the excellent work of the city clerk's office, I assume this means that one report has never been filed. The missing report is a final report. Meanwhile, one final report documents $2,736 in cash donations and $2,203.37 in expenses. This should leave $532.73 excess of cash donations over expenses to be disposed of in accordance with city law. But page 9 of that report, Disposition of Surplus Funds, shows an amount of 0. I've tried to avoid involving the city council in these matters, and I've tried not to be a pest about them. But I have written to the Board of Elections in April and October of 2025. To date, I have not received a response from the board, not even an acknowledgement of receipt of the messages. There is no point in having laws that are neither adhered to nor enforced. Indeed, it's bad to have such laws because when folks see laws being flouted, it encourages them to break other laws. So it's time for the city to repeal its campaign finance laws. Doing so will reduce the workload for the overworked city clerk's office. It will also reduce the work required of candidates, reducing barriers to running for office. And it will better align what the city says it requires with what the city actually requires. I hope the council will repeal the city's campaign finance laws and that the council will do so before this year's nominating caucus. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Do we have any virtual public comments this evening? Okay, we're going to move to city council comments. Do we have any council comments this evening? Councilmember Gilbert.
Thank you, Mayor. Just wanted to real quick touch on something that I wanted to talk about last week, but got busy talking about something else and probably went over my time, so I apologize for that. So this will be quick. On May 8th, Mayor Searcy and I attended the county council meeting, committee work session for municipal tax duplication payments. That was what we were there for. There were other topics of conversation that morning, and I won't expand on what happened during the conversation regarding tax duplication. Maybe Mayor Searcy, you could, if you choose to, but I stayed and heard the conversation regarding the Office of Animal Services and their plea for additional FTE because they're over capacity at the shelter, and there are a number of families who are surrendering their animals due to food insecurities, job loss, et cetera. So it's sad to hear that, that they're struggling the way they are up there, needing more help, more funds, and that so many families are having to give up their animals because of where we are today financially. So I guess my plea is to those who are looking to purchase an animal or bring an animal to their home, please adopt and consider the shelter. And they're located, again, in Durwood, Maryland. And of course, I've talked before about being opposed to breeders and purchasing animals from pet stores. So that's my plea today, and I just wanted to share that we attended that meeting and what I learned. Thanks.
Thank you, Councilmember Gilbert. Councilmember Westlake.
Thank you. I wanted to share a few things. One, this afternoon was the meeting of the Transportation Planning Board, the TPB, for this area, and we voted to approve several projects that will benefit Tacoma Park specifically and our residents, so I'm very excited about that. There were two projects approved for the City of Tacoma Park under the Regional Roadway Safety Program. That is for the Flower Avenue traffic study, that's $80,000, and for circling back innovative options for residential intersections, $100,000, and that is to build on the traffic study in New Hampshire Gardens that's already occurred, and to look at those circles on Wildwood, at Kirkland and Kingwood, and see what would be a better way to manage those intersections. So that's really great. And then there's a third that went to the county, but it's right adjacent to us. There was a transportation land use connections project for Domer Avenue. And this is the stretch of Domer Avenue from Flower Ave to Garland, so literally just right on the city's edge, to improve pedestrian safety and accessibility along that stretch. So I was very happy to be able to vote in support of those great projects. And I want to just share, make sure folks know that Tacoma Pride is coming up. It is on June 7th, Sunday. The parade will start at 10 a.m. The street fair will be from 10 until 2. If you've not gone, I encourage you to go. For the parade, all are welcome to watch the parade. All are welcome to participate in the parade. And if you'd like to have some supplies to make signs and crafts, you show up at the co-op parking lot 9:30 to 10. You can get help making some signs, and then that's where the parade will kick off. And at the street fair, I'm going to have a table there. I'm pretty sure I'm going to be giving out free mom hugs. I don't know if I'll have a shirt that says it or not, but regardless, I will say for for the LGBTQ youth in particular, I'm always available for free mom hugs. So, and lastly, little known fact that I'm a huge Survivor fan, and tonight is the season 50 finale. And if anyone spoils it for me, I'm going to be so mad. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Westlake. Councilmember Schlegel?
Thank you. I'm glad we acknowledge Eritrean Independence Day. I teach many Eritrean students at my school, and I remember in 1996, one of my first years teaching, when one of my students was, he and his family were very excited to be celebrating the 5th anniversary of independence. Ward 3 residents, I just encourage you to read my email updates. I sent one today. If you or anyone you know wishes to get updates or review an archive of previous ones, you can find on my council member bio page. They're linked down at the bottom. In the update I sent today, there's 3 really significant pieces of news about development, not just the Edinburgh apartments that we discussed here last week, but also some new news about the hospital site and about the university's potential plans there, and then also about the John Evans Andrews School site potentially being sold soon. So I wanted to thank Chief Duvall and Deputy Chief Philippos for coming to a meeting of the Westmoreland Area Citizens Community Association, WACO, earlier this week. It was a great back and forth and conversation. Wanted to remind folks that on Thursday the 28th, next week, there will be a community meeting on the removal of trees in conjunction with the demolition of the hospital buildings. I know a lot of people in Ward 3 have been asking about that. That workshop last Thursday on 15 actions to support biodiversity that was in this room with author Sarah Jane, that was really cool. And it inspired me to take more actions to support wildlife, especially bugs, pollinators. And there's a video of it available on the website if you just search on biodiversity, and all kinds of online resources that you can use to really make a new hobby out of expanding the ecosystem in your own backyard or on whatever land you're allowed to use for that purpose. Councilmember Westlake, I am looking forward to hearing how the new restrictions on crossing Jackson Avenue in New Hampshire Gardens work out, because I know that residents in Ward 3 in a few neighborhoods dealing with cut-through traffic have begun to be curious about that kind of idea. And so as you start to get reports, it'll be great to hear from you on that. And also, I'm looking forward to the Tacoma Pride Parade on Sunday, June 7th. It's going to be great. I went last year for the first time, and I loved it.
Thank you, Councilmember Schlegel. Councilmember Land?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Just a couple of quick points. I wanted to flag for people that this coming weekend, from 3 to 5 p.m. on Saturday, is the Fix-It Clinic at the library. Bring your broken stuff, your sewing machines, your lamps, your things that need to be repaired, your broken jewelry, to have it fixed for free by your friends and neighbors. Secondly, I wanted to flag that for many people in Ward 1 and other neighbors in other wards as well, we've had a very significant rash of car thefts and especially break-ins to steal airbags. And I want to thank the police department for reminding people that there are available, I think they're called clubs that you put on over your steering wheel. We have some available for free. The city police department sent out an alert about this, and if you have an airbag in your car and you have a Honda, apparently you're especially vulnerable to those thefts. So please lock your cars, and please, if you're interested and don't have a club, come follow up with the police department, and while supplies are available, they're there for you to take advantage of. And then I just want to end by saying thank you to the Department of Public Works and other city employees who are working with them to address our desire to have a safe sidewalk on Hancock Avenue. Councilmember Gilbert and I have been talking with residents there and with the Department of Public Works about the designs that are under consideration. This will make the walk to Opal Daniels Park more safe, and I look forward to continuing to work with everybody to find the optimal solution for people to be able to walk safely on the sidewalk, and as many parking spaces as possible to be retained for the community as well as the trees that are going to be impacted to minimize that impact to the community. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councilmember Honzak.
Yeah, just a few things. First, I'd like to say a big thank you to my Ward 5 resident for proposing that we put, and the mayor for putting forward the proclamation for Eritrean Independence Day. We have a lot of Eritreans across our community, and I know there are quite a few in Ward 5 just because I've run into a number of them. Thought I'd share with my colleagues just to get everybody excited about the Flower Avenue event that's coming up on June 14th. We received about 85 youth sticker design competition entries, and so on Thursday night, a small group of us met at El Golfo to judge the winners. So forthcoming, and all the entries will be put up, I hope, as we've done in previous years. Feel free to reach out and volunteer to help me post them. We put them on the wall of the event, so all the kids will come and bring their adults, and it's a lot of fun. Enjoyed seeing our new school, old school basketball team, but really I think the mayor was there for the entire time, and I'm not sure if I missed Councilmember Gilbert there too, but I missed the heart of the game because I couldn't get my daughter out the door, and they didn't go till 10. They ended early. Anyway, and that was just a really fun event. I would love to get out there again next year, earlier. And Councilmember Weselick, can you just comment a little bit more on the Domer Avenue, or maybe offline? I would like to be able to put that into my council comments. I think folks over in Ward 5 will be particularly interested. I'd like to understand that better.
Yeah, I can share the text with you.
Okay, thank you. And and thank you, Councilmember Schlegel, for mentioning the WAU meeting about the proposed tree removals. I've got a lot of residents who live right across from the area, and they expressed some concern, and there was some real misunderstanding actually about what they thought some of the trees that have been marked, what the indication was. So I think it's quite important. And Deputy Eubanks, do we happen to know if they are going to be recording that session? I haven't remembered to send a note.
City TV team, do we know if that event is going to be recorded? This
It's
is
on Thursday,
Thursday.
May 28th at 7:30 in the Azalea Room.
We can find out.
We can,
Yeah.
I just, if I could mark that, I think there may be people who would definitely appreciate that, yeah.
I
Yeah,
don't think that it is, and I think recording in that room is usually pretty difficult, but if we
Is
can.
difficult.
we-
Oh, okay.
We will look into it, yeah.
yeah, thank you. And on Monday, May 25th, there's a community annual Ward 5 Memorial Day potluck that happens at 4 to 7 p.m. on Edinburgh at 8001. And I too, I just want to echo Councilmember Landman and thank our police. I actually watched video clips of several people in Ward 5 in one particular area that had a number of break-ins where their airbags were stolen. So I am hoping I can really encourage people. So I just want to double down. Please get yourself a steering wheel lock so that we have fewer of those temptations out there. Thank you.
Excuse me,
Thank
Mayor
you.
Searcy, is anyone going to be announcing about the deadline for the? Great, okay, just wanted to make sure someone was going to
Yep,
get to
let's
that.
just stick to the program. Councilmember DeBala.
Yeah, so speaking of which, it's time to consider serving on a committee, city committee, board, or commission. The deadline is June 8th, but more to the point, there's quite a few vacancies available, and depending on what you're interested in, arts and humanities, or grants, or sustainability issues, landlord-tenant, tree commission. There's a lot of possibilities for people, so take a look online, and also think about applying and talk to your council member if you have any questions. I also wanted to This is not nearly as exciting as what's going on in Ward 5 with all your festival events this weekend. But the Dorothy's Woods will have an invasive pull workday this Saturday, 10 to 11:30, if you're interested, at the Woodland Avenue side of the woods. Garland Avenue sidewalk meeting went, there were about 45 people. It was pretty well attended. And a lot of discussion, particularly about trees. And Public Works is following up with answering questions that, as a result of what people heard at the meeting, they have questions. Some of them are about parking and specifics of the design. And so it's still time, if you have comments, to get them in. And also, there will be a recording of, the meeting was recorded, so you should be able to watch it if you missed it. And last but not least, y'all are gonna miss me next Wednesday because I'm not gonna be here. I'm gonna be on vacation. And so I will be watching the broadcast, not the broadcast, but I'll be watching the recording to catch up. And that's part of why I would be really appreciative of a recording of the tree meeting on Thursday, so that I can watch that after the fact. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember DeBala. There's a lot of things that are going on or that have transpired over the last few days. I do want to give a special thanks to our HCD staff that worked on the Bike to Work Day. I had a chance to go out to one of the pit stops, and the energy and the passion that so many people had to support biking, and it was so well attended. I just want to thank the team for putting that together. I also want to thank the organizers of Girls on the Run at Piney Branch. Had a chance. I always enjoy talking to the runners. I will need to follow up with them because they had a 5K this weekend, so we'll see how that went. But one of the things that they do as part of that exercise is lots of cleanup activities around their school and the park area. And there were some really interesting things that were found. So I do need to give some follow-up emails to make sure that we're doing our due diligence to kind of keep that area clean. And we will just leave it at that. Next thing, I want to thank our rec staff for the old school, new school basketball game. I wasn't able to be there the whole time, but I caught the bulk of the game and the halftime show. So the players were amazing. The halftime show was amazing. There was a halftime show. There was double dutch. There was a drummer. Like, if you were not there, you missed out. And I also want to thank our youth council who also volunteered during the event. So that was really wonderful. Again, just want to remind folks, Crossroads Farmers Market is happening on Wednesdays, and there was the community food fair on Sunday. Next couple of things. Do just want to remind folks, it was the tree presentation was mentioned a couple times. I did not go this far into our rolling agenda, but also on June the 24th, we will have a presentation from Advances Healthcare on next steps in terms of the hospital demolition. So do just want to make sure folks are aware of that. And just trying to make sure. The one other thing, I believe the Tacoma Park Youth Council town hall is happening on the 26th, which is Tuesday of next week. So I definitely appreciate our youth council for working on this town hall, and I look forward to participating in that. And I think those are the major things.
Madam Mayor, will you reveal who won the basketball game? Nobody has said.
It was the old school. I didn't want to say it, but it was the old school. But our new school did a great job. They did a great job. We want to encourage more young players to come out. but the old school did win. And so with that, I will turn things over to our Deputy City Manager, Mr. Eubanks, to go through City Manager comments.
Thank you, Mayor, and good evening, council, members of the public and staff. You've covered a lot of the comments. I will provide a little bit more detail on some and skip the rest that you've given some good detail on. Beginning with our Housing and Community Development Department, we are pleased to announce Tacoma Park has been selected by the National League of Cities to participate in Legacy Forward, a new national initiative designed to help small and mid-sized cities invest in long-term success of established local businesses. Through the program, leaders from the city will receive training, technical assistance, and access to a national network of municipalities working together to support legacy and second-stage businesses. The cohort includes 10 municipalities from across the country who will participate in programming from June 2026 through February 2027, and will conclude with a national convening where participating communities will share lessons learned and strategies from supporting second-stage businesses' growth and long-term economic resilience. Also from Housing and Community Development, Bike Not Ready for Bike Month? No problem. Come get your bicycle tuned up at a free bike repair pop-up at the Tacoma Park Farmers Market by the Bike Rack or at the Crossroads Farmers Market through the month of May. Our bike mechanic will be on site to perform brake adjustments, derailleur adjustments, lubrication, and tire inflation at no charge. If parts are needed, brake pads, cables, tubes, chains, tubes, etc., they will be available to buy on site, and installation of those parts is covered by your own Tacoma Park. From our Finance Department, Finance staff have completed the processing of the levy year 2025 Homeowners Property Tax Rebate Program. Checks were issued to eligible homeowners last week. A total of 70 households benefited from the Homeowners Property Tax Credit Program, receiving rebates totaling approximately $104,000. The city staff will process another batch of homeowner tax credit rebates in mid-June to include residents who may have submitted applications later. Consistent with the City Council's commitment to supporting affordable housing in Tacoma Park, the city's supplemental tax rebate has increased over time since the program was established in 1991. Currently, the city's supplement equals 50% of the state tax credit or total property tax due, whichever is less. Beginning in FY27, the city will implement an expanded tax credit program. This expanded program will further support affordable housing in Tacoma Park by providing eligible homeowners with a tax rebate equal to 100% of their Montgomery County tax credit. For homeowners who did not receive a county tax credit, the city awarded rebate will equal 50% of their state tax credit. In addition, an annual CPI adjustment will be applied to each eligibility threshold. More information is available to the public on the city's website. From our police department, we've talked about this. There are available in the police department on Mondays through Fridays from 12 p.m. to 4 p.m. steering wheel locks. I want to add to the discussion so far that those steering wheel locks are not just available to Tacoma Park residents, but all Montgomery County residents. For more information, please contact Sergeant Gregory Wolf, and his email address is gregoryw@tacomaparkmd.gov. Also from the police department and the city manager's office, city and police department offices will be closed on May 25th in observance of the Memorial Day holiday. Police emergency services remain available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We also want to remind everyone that all fireworks, including sparklers, are illegal in Montgomery County. Private use and possession of fireworks, including sparklers, carries a fine of $500. Selling fireworks in Maryland is also against the law and carries a fine of $1,000. From our Public Works Department, National Public Works Appreciation Week is May 17th through the 23rd. This year's theme is Rooted in Service, powered by community. It acknowledges that the roots of service run deep in public works. It's what has propelled public works innovations and have helped our community evolve into places where people can lead lives of purpose and possibility. Some work, like maintaining roads and building sidewalks, is highly visible. Other public works contributions like maintaining stormwater infrastructure, maintaining city facilities are sometimes less obvious. The 37-person staff engaged in this work for Tacoma Park brings their care and commitment every day to do their part to make and keep Tacoma Park a thriving community. I will add a little bit of color to the event that was discussed for Thursday, May 28th, in the Azalea Room from 7:30 to 8:30 p.m. As was talked about, the Washington Adventist Hospital demolition tree removal neighborhood meeting will take place at that time. And we can have an unmanned camera, and that recording can be made available to the public after the meeting. Unmanned means that if there's somebody moving around in that room, we may not catch them, but we'll catch their voice. There's another sustainability event that evening that will take priority and has already been planned, but we can have an unmanned camera there. In April, the city experienced a flood event at the New Hampshire Recreation Center. Since then, mitigation work has been completed, but the basketball court and exercise room remain closed. The city has been coordinating with the insurance company, and initial estimates for repair and restoration have been approved. City staff intend to bring a contract to the City Council for approval by next Wednesday, May 27th. The repair is expected to be fully covered by insurance. And then finally, from from Public Works, this week the Junction parking lot was closed to accommodate resurfacing work. We are glad to report that that work has been completed and the lot is available for public use. Thank you to the public and neighboring businesses for your patience while this restoration effort was underway. I'll go quickly through the Recreation Department. They have a number of upcoming trips for seniors on June 1st to the 5th. Seniors will be participating in a camp. There are a few slots remaining for the week-long camp. Each day includes light fitness activities, creative projects, games, social time, and opportunities to explore new interests. For residents, the cost is $90. For non-residents, it's $110. There's also a senior trip on June 17th. The fee is $10, and the trip is to Algonquin Regional Park in Sterling, Virginia. On August 8th, for $6, seniors will also be traveling to the Montgomery County Agricultural Fair. And if you are interested and you'd like more information, you can visit tacomaparkmd.gov/recreation. And then finally, a couple of shout outs from the city manager's office. This week, we have 3 staff shout outs from our recreation department who would like to recognize John Pitt of City TV and the IT department for their outstanding support in helping launch the Community Center Multimedia Lab. Their coordination and assistance with the installation and hardware and software were instrumental in making the project operational and ready for public use. The lab officially opened on May 5th and now provides community members with access to creative and digital media resources at the community center. A second shout out to Haven Road and Raekwon White, who hosted an amazing old school versus new school basketball game last Friday. As you all have talked about, there was plenty of food, great vendors, Double Dutch team, and Malik Dope from America's Got Talent. Everyone in attendance had a great time. And thank you to the mayor, Councilmember Gilbert, and Councilmember Honzak, and everybody who has coordinated that great event, Haven and Ray specifically. And finally, some Recreation Department career staff conducted a citywide training yesterday on facility use and de-escalation with a guest speaker, Ms. Jasmine A. Tingling Clemens. Chris Parker, Haven Road, Vince Kane, and Raekwon White took the new policy and created a training full of scenarios, examples, and a Q&A. The training was very informative and well-received. Great job to everyone involved and much appreciated. And our final shout out goes to our transit planner, Casey Ann Webley, who has been instrumental in helping make Tacoma Park a safer space for cyclists and pedestrians. In addition to her work on the New Hampshire Gardens traffic study, she has worked with local schools to bring cycling and pedestrian training to many of our young residents. This included Bike to School days at East Silver Spring and Rolling Terrace Elementary Schools, which reached over 500 students. Thank you for making our streets safer. And finally, that concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, we're going to move on this evening to our presentation, the quarterly financial report for the third
Back in the
quarter.
meeting, but no sound. Let me try the volume again. Huh.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's got
Can we
no.
also just make
I'll
sure
come
that the
back
closed
in,
captioning
they're just
is
starting a
keeping up? It was
presentation,
coming
it's
in and
absolutely
out
silent.
during the
Even though I had the
last
volume
set of
cranked up all the
comments.
way. And I don't get any glitching, and the video is really good.
Oh, yeah, is there, yeah, it looks like there's someone back there, yeah, cranked up all the way, and I don't get glitching, and the video is really good. I don't know who said that, but it's
Yeah,
picking up
there
on
may
the
not be
closed
anything we can
captioning.
Do we want to proceed while that is being fixed?
Yeah,
or-
yeah,
Okay.
let's,
All right. So council, this evening, we will be discussing the fiscal year 2026 financial report for quarter three. The purpose of the discussion and the report is to summarize revenue and expenditure, including budget amendments number 1 through number 3, and identify discrepancies in year-to-year trends. So Q3 will cover the period of July 1, 2025 to March 31st, 2026. And in reviewing the quarterly financial report, it is important to note that certain general fund revenues are cyclical and do not occur evenly throughout the fiscal year. Intergovernmental tax, for example, personal property tax, public utility tax, and income tax revenue are received during specific periods, while other service-related revenues are collected monthly and therefore follow a more consistent pattern. As a general guideline, the expected benchmark for both revenue collection and expenditure levels is approximately 25% of the annual budget at the end of the first quarter, 50% at the end of the second, 75% for the third, and 100% for the fourth. These benchmarks serve as reference points for evaluating whether financial activity is progressing as anticipated. So high-level summary first, the total year-to-date actual revenue across all funds is $31.6 million, or 80% of the budgeted amount. Total year-to-date actual expenditure is $27.4 million, or 60% of the budgeted amount. Revenue exceeded expenditure by $3.8 million due to surpluses in the general fund, stormwater fund, and red light camera fund. I'm going to focus mostly this evening on the general fund. As the general fund is our chief operating fund of the city. It supports regular daily activities, including police protection, street and parking maintenance, and general administrative functions. Revenues for the general fund totaled $28.6 million, or 90% of the FY26 budgeted amount. For reference, in FY25, the general fund year-to-date revenue were about $27.3 million, or 89% for the last fiscal year. On the expenditure side, general fund expenditures were $23.4 million, or 65% of the FY26 budgeted amount. In FY25, general fund year-to-date expenditures were $21.7 million, or 59%. General fund revenue and expenses whose percentage collected or expended differs by 30% is considered significant. And so this slide is highlighting some of the significant items on the revenue side. For public parking, the revenue in FY26 is down from 25 due to faulty parking meters and difficulty and, the expense, difficulty with the expense of obtaining the parts to repair those meters. For additions and abatements, the addition and abatements represent refunds and chargebacks related to property tax revenue. Refunds in FY26 are lower than in FY27, but there's no consistent pattern in timing or amounts of property tax refunds. And for library aid, there's a difference in revenue due to timing. So the revenue collected is $111K in the first 2 quarters. The rest of the payments will be collected in April and June. So again, the difference is just due to timing of collection. And on the expenditure side, there are another 3 categories worth speaking about. In human resources, there's a increased cost for FY26 that's attributable to higher software expenses resulting from additional UKG billing following the system conversion, as well as increased personnel costs associated with the interim human resources director position in FY26. These increases are compared to FY25 when the division experienced a personnel vacancy. So there's some skewing there. On the legal side of things, the increase in legal expenses is attributable to labor-related services associated with union negotiations, as well as an additional legal audit cost that occurred in FY26. And then finally, for sustainability, the increase is attributable to the additional sustainability-related contract activities present in FY26. Sustainability contracts increased approximately to $169,000 in FY26 compared to only $6,000 in FY25. And this chart captures a lot of what we already discussed, as well as the next page where we'll talk about some of our other funds. So on the red light camera side, revenues are 1.1 million, or 38% of budgeted. Expenditures are the same at 39. Red light camera revenues and expenditure are below budgeted for FY27. The stop sign camera program was implemented during the 3rd quarter. However, those net revenues are not expected to the 4th quarter. So the surplus is only $3,000. And for stormwater, revenues total $920,000, which represents 99% of the budgeted amount. However, expenditures total $264,000, which only represents 22% of the budgeted amount. The 3rd quarter performance resulted in a surplus of $656,000 due to lower expenditures from project delays. And I will stop there and take any questions that you might have about the quarterly report.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm trying to check for lights. Deputy City Manager Hupkey, is your mic on? Okay. All right. Is that David's? Okay, sorry, I'm looking at names. Councilmember Honzak.
Okay, sorry.
Oh, no.
Sorry, trying to get back to the page. Right, on slide number, thank you very much for this presentation. On slide number 6, do you have any more information about the part about the public parking facilities and the expense of obtaining parts? It strikes me just that it's like about a $17,000 differential there, and I'm just curious, is this something that the council could help overcome? Is it a front load need to budget for the parts? Because I don't know if it's related to trade costs right now and fuel or something, but I wouldn't think it would get a lot cheaper.
Yeah, so for a good portion of the city, we have older meters, and they no longer make parts for those meters. And we have exhausted the inventory of spare parts. And so we're at a point now where those meters need to be completely replaced. I believe in the FY27 budget, you all have approved the complete overhaul of our parking meter infrastructure.
I gotcha, okay. Is that something that we anticipate being able to get to with our current capacity in the first quarter? Just so
I'm
we're
not sure
losing
exactly
or we
when
don't- or
PD is
ish.
intending to replace it, but I do know that there's
It's a
there's
priority.
some portion of the funding available in FY '27.
Okay, thanks for that clarity. That's obviously a place that we all want to prioritize, right? With money getting lost. I didn't know if we could do anything. Let's see, and then on skipping to the last, I guess the last slide. Yes, the last slide, number 9. I just had a couple questions about the red light camera and the stormwater fund. So on the red light camera revenues, where it says we're below budget, are you anticipating, if I heard you right, that in the fourth quarter, we will get to where we thought we were going to be getting to by the end of the year, or we'll still be a little bit below?
We'll be able to address this with more clarity in the budget amendment number 4. Overall, we expect the red light camera to balance out, red light camera fund, red light camera and stop sign fund to balance out. Within that fund are 2 separate programs, red light and stop sign, and there will be some horse trading between the 2 funds based on expected revenues. Ultimately, we'll need to shift some of our expenses from red light camera to stop sign camera because the overall revenues expected for red light are lower, but the stop sign camera is going to be higher. So we will balance out, but things are different than expected, and we're going to address that in budget amendment number 4.
Is that, do we know yet whether that's because of just the timing of installation of the red light cameras, or is it for
It's
some
a
other reason?
combination of things, as I understand it. So some of it is timing of our newer red light cameras. Some of it is, I believe, lower than expected volume, and I think some of it is at least, I don't know exactly how to phrase this, but not everyone is paying the citations. And so we've accounted for that in our revenue projections to some degree. But I think the percentage of non-payment currently is a little bit higher than we anticipated. Now, that could, over the course of time, average about where we expected it to average, but right now, my understanding from PD is that it's a little bit higher.
That's very interesting. Thank you. And then my last question on the stormwater fund. Could you, I see here we have a much lower expenditure, than maybe we would have anticipated due to some project delays. Are we, and I'm thinking of a specific project right now in my mind that I think about a month ago, I was told there was going to maybe be a Q4 stormwater fund project on like Kennebec, for example, where they were aiming for Q4 in part because they were trying to spend down the money. I'm not sure what the delays are about, but could you just speak a little bit to the anticipated rate of expenditure of the stormwater funds in this fiscal year?
I cannot.
Looks like it's
I wouldn't
pretty
be able to give you any
slow.
great
Okay.
detail
Okay.
about where at the end of the year we're projected to be.
Okay.
Typically, though, when we have projects that are planned but not completed, those projects will just roll over to the next fiscal year. So if it's not completed on schedule as anticipated for FY '26, it'll roll over in FY '27.
Do we have any idea why those?
I would have to
Delays
talk
or-
to Public Works
okay.
to get the
All right.
specifics.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Okay, seeing none. All right, thank you very much. The next item on the agenda are our work sessions. The first is the extension of contract with Human Circuit.
Just waiting for Mr. Kelly, Ryan Kelly.
Mayor, I could go first.
Okay. Okay, so we're gonna move things around. The amendment to the Tacoma Park Code, Chapter 2.04, to remove outdated language related to council compensation with the city clerk. like to address that item?
The council will recall that the Council Compensation Committee recommended no change to the salaries of mayor and city council. However, much of the text of Chapter 2.04 of the City Code is related to the phasing in of the prior salary increase in 2019. So the city attorney reviewed the code, and we recommend that much of the language be removed because it's superfluous and just confuses anyone looking to find the information in the code. And so that's what you have before you. You could see the old language is stricken out. And and it's really, nothing is added. It's just striking out language that is no longer needed and is out of date. So if council approves, we will bring this back for first reading next week.
Thank you, City Clerk Carpenter. Councilmember DeBala.
So just to be clear, this is essentially a technical cleanup. This makes absolutely no change in what we're doing.
That's exactly right. It makes
Just
no
making sure.
change. It just, it makes no change. It just removes language that was a transitional language.
Surplus, yeah, okay.
Yes.
Thank you, Councilmember Landman.
Thank you, that was very clear. It does leave the question, the other compensation matter that we agreed to earlier in the year having to do with health insurance reimbursement. Is that going to be taken up in a separate amendment at some future date, or is that
No,
only in ordinances or something?
It was determined that the language there, that mayor and council shall be eligible to receive health insurance benefits equivalent to those of full-time city employees covers that.
That's sufficient.
So there was no need to add specifics.
Thank you for clarifying.
And I'm sorry, I just want to make sure that I'm clear. So according to the city manager, we don't have to make note of the the more recent council compensation committee's recommendations in terms of the salary, like keeping the salary the same. So for Section A, it basically would include that the salaries for both the mayor and, if I'm looking at this correctly, the council members, but because the salaries are, the more recent council compensation committee is not recommending a modification to the salaries, then we would keep it to what was being held to by the prior council compensation committee, if that makes sense at all. I'm pretty sure it doesn't, but it's like we had the prior committee that set the salary. We had a new committee that did not make a change to the salary, and therefore what the prior committee put forward is what would need to be noted in the code. And then any other modifications that the more recent council compensation committee, which includes things like compensation or monies that council members and the mayor would receive for communications supplements. So is that something that doesn't need to be included?
I will double check. We don't think it needs to be included in the code, but I'll reconfirm that with the city attorney.
Okay. Thank you. I think that was the only thing where it would incorporate some sort of additional compensation to the council members based on our resolution. So it would be different from the council compensations recommendation. It would be the resolution that we passed that would put that added monies in to the council.
Yeah, I will double check that.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Councilmember Landman?
So as the city clerk just reminded us, the compensation committee made a recommendation that we not alter the salaries, but this still refers to the previous compensation committee of 2019. And I was wondering whether it would be clarifying, maybe it's in a resolution, or maybe we don't need a resolution, I don't know, but to say that to refer to that reiteration of that salary. Is that something that ought to be, should the change in the ordinance refer to the subsequent council compensation committee date than 2019, rather than 2019? Or just leave it at 2019? if you see what I mean?
Yeah, that was a similar question that I had, because the 2019 Council Compensation Committee established a pay increase for the mayor and council. The current Council Compensation Committee recommended sticking with that salary. And what I was a little unclear about is whether or not you would reference at all the new Council Compensation Committee that would need to just note that the salary amounts are staying the same. And I think that was and based on the resolution that we passed, which also included language about offering subsidies to council members and the mayor for communications, like where would that fit in here as well?
Right. We will review this and see if it should be included in here.
Thank you, because I have no idea, but I was just wanted to make sure we were clear.
Right.
All right. Councilmember Schlegel.
I think that on the question of whether we need to update it, to mention that it was reconfirmed by the more recent committee, I guess I don't think that's necessary, because we don't need to reflect that something was reaffirmed. Just 2019 is important to have so people can see when it was established in the current arrangement.
I'm not sure I would go, I would need to, as the city clerk is gonna look into this, but since we have an obligation for that committee to be reconvened periodically, having it only refer to the decisions that were made in 2019, that might confuse people to think that there had not been any reevaluation. And isn't it required to be reconvened periodically and reconsidered?
Right, so
So-
I don't disagree with you on this. So let's take a look at that. If nothing else, it should be in the whereas.
Correct.
If nothing else.
Yep, I'm in the same boat. And then particularly if we are going to, and I keep bringing up the other piece of the resolution that we passed, which would in essence be a benefit to this council and mayor, then we would need to at least acknowledge the council compensation committee that was established more recently, and if there are some additional modifications to compensation for this committee would need to be communicated through the code, perhaps. Okay. All right. Sorry, Councilmember Schlegel.
I know we're moving at such a great pace, and I'm trying to slow it down, but so that I now see that makes sense to have it in the whereas. Just I was talking about it in the ordinance itself, but if we are doing change to the whereas, perhaps since it is odd that a 6-year period passed, we get out of whereas just saying, and whereas the next council compensation committee will convene and give the date 4 years hence, I guess 2029 is what we're at now, just so that people understand that we decided to get back on a 4-year track, but there had been a 2-year delay with COVID and things.
That makes sense, yes.
Okay.
Okay. Councilmember Honzak?
Yeah, I'm also just thinking, it's interesting because, you know, if someone were to look at the code and then they were trying to figure out where we were at now with our salaries, they would have to go somewhere, pick up the ECIs. And I wonder if, I don't know what the cleanest way to do that would be, but even if I don't know if we're allowed to link code to an official, like with a link for the ECI, where you can see, you know, if somebody was trying to do a quick look at it.
We also post on the website.
Yeah,
salary.
but it's the current, right?
Yeah, the current.
Yeah, the current. I'm just thinking, though, in order to be able to read the code more cleanly, it's a bit cumbersome the way that the code is done, and I'm not that's not a critique. It's just it's confusing if you're new to this code. It's a little bit of an unusual way to have the code pegged to a long time ago.
Yeah.
And then you have to figure out how to extrapolate to get all the ECIs.
Right.
But anyway, I don't know if there's I mean, I'm just thinking if you could link, if we're allowed to put links in code to an official government website for ECI,
I
that
think
might
that's
work.
typically frowned upon to put links in city code just because those links can change. And
Yeah,
you would
no,
have
I
to,
understand.
you'd have to update the code every time.
Might we include a provision in the code that says that the salaries as updated, consistent with this, are to be publicly, posted on the city website at such and such a location or something, so that people could easily see the trail? And that way, we wouldn't have to try and put any links into our statute, yeah. But we would have a place where people would go to see the updated numbers. I mean, that is the case, but we could just put it into the ordinance.
Right, and we may need to run this by the city attorney because the way that the code is written, it establishes the base, and then there's language regarding, cost of living or ECI increases over a 12-month period over the specific amount of time. And so the question that I have for the city attorney is, does having a new council compensation committee say we don't want to adjust the salary means that they're starting the recommended salary to be at where the council is at the point in time in which they are saying to keep the salary the same? So it wouldn't be based on what was recommended in what was recommended for that prior council compensation committee, because they were establishing an amount from the start. This next council compensation committee is assuming that the current state of salaries is based on the ECI that has been, addressed over time for council members and for the mayor. So it would seem to me that maybe that base would still be current salary for mayor and council members, and then the language in the code would be, it would be increasing based on the ECI over time, similar to the language that's already here. Now, the city attorney may say, oh, mayor, that's overkill, but I kind of agree with Councilmember Honzak in that you're missing, 2019, 2022, you're missing like 6 years of cost of living adjustments that is not reflected in this code, which would establish your new base.
I hear what you're saying. We'll definitely come back with a recommendation on this.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, no, go ahead.
Recognized. One idea, I'm just thinking maybe better than the original one I was just brainstorming, was since you're already publishing the current salary on the website, and there's no way, like, let's say somebody was thinking about running for council, there's no great way for them to know if what they're looking at has definitely been updated, because websites do sometimes lag behind, right, whenever somebody got to it. So I'm thinking maybe if on the website, at the place where we publish the current, we could have like a link to the code and then a chart that gets updated along with the new, newly posted as of July 1st current council compensation, showing from 2019 onwards how it increased. Just a little chart, and it can be updated each time that's, so then everybody can see the baseline, and then you can see the ECI, and that way we're in control of that instead of it coming from some external source. Seems like that would be, anyway, just an idea. I think a way to keep it clean.
Right. Thank you, Councilmember Honzak. Okay. Not seeing any additional questions on this one, so the city clerk will follow up with the city attorney to just make sure that we're all clear on how to adjust the language regarding council compensation going forward in light of the new recommendations from the Council Compensation Committee. All right.
Thank you.
No worries. So with that, we'll go through our last item this evening, extension of contract with the Human Circuit.
Hello, hello. I'm so sorry. My stream was a little behind upstairs. So I'm here to spoil the finale of Survivor. Thank you. So I'm here for the... No, don't worry. I'm here for to discuss the extension of the Human Circuit contract. This would be the second of 3 available Human Circuit contract amendment extensions, the first of which was in 2024, which began with the first for the relocation of the control room due to the renovations of the Library and Community Center redevelopment, and the second of which was in May 14th of 2025, which was because of the delay of the completion of the library project and then the improvements and upgrades that were necessary in the auditorium and the control room space. We are now proposing the second of three available amendments to continue the ongoing necessary work in the auditorium as identified by Human Circuit and the City TV team. I am available to take any additional questions. Just to also, for additional clarification, this amendment would be $50,000 for the fiscal year 27, which has been budgeted for also for the fiscal year.
It's a Wednesday miracle. I don't see any lights. Take the win, Ryan. Take the win.
I'm gonna sit down.
Thank you so much for bringing this to the council. Seeing no lights, I'm going to move that we are done for this evening. Any objections? All right, awesome. Somebody might be able to catch a little bit of Survivor. I can say a lot. Yeah. Excellent. Everybody have a fantastic night.